Hey guys, Kevin back for Supergirl, Season 1, Episode 5, How Does She Do It? And I was definitely looking forward to this episode because, of course, it was delayed a week because it was supposed to be the last episode, last week's episode, but because last week's episode, the whole thing with Paris happened, they had to delay it, so we had the Thanksgiving episode last week, and we had this episode this week, which, yeah, I definitely felt like this episode was out of place, in continuity issues, but I can't really, complain about that because of the fact that this episode aired after last week's. We already knew was going to happen this episode that, James and Lucy were going to get together. We already knew that. And I thought this episode was good. I will say that I didn't think this episode was great. I definitely liked it. I didn't love it, but I will say I thought last week's was a lot stronger, mainly because the portrayal of Kat last week, I liked the way she was fleshed out, and I really felt like because of that, this episode really felt like reverting back to that. But again, you guys have to remember this episode was supposed to be aired after the 4th episode, and I was fine with that. There were some things I definitely really liked about this episode, I will say, but I definitely thought this was probably the weakest one so far. Definitely, in my opinion, probably the weakest one. I still really enjoyed it. I just thought overall as an episode, it was kind of weak. But let's just get into it. I'm definitely looking forward to the last 2 episodes, which we do have 2 episodes left before it goes on hiatus. I believe it is coming back in January. I'm not really sure, though. I'm assuming it is, but we'll have to see. Let's just get into this episode. There's a lot to talk about, there's really not, and we start with a monologue of Supergirl. She's talking about flying carefree through the sky, monologuing how happy she is. She sees a drone following her and tears after it. It evades her surprisingly well, considering she has super speed, but ultimately she blasts it out of the sky. She takes it part to the DEO, accusing Henshaw of following her, but he denies having any knowledge of it. She thinks this is Henshaw keeping tabs on her, because obviously he still doesn't really trust her all the way. And Alex comes and says she doesn't recognize the very advanced tech, and Henshaw leaves with it. And Alex tells Kara that she can trust him, and when Kara gets to work, Wynn is very stressed over covering her phone, and Wynn was one of the things that works so well for me in this episode. I mean, I just really love his character. He's great. I love how he freaks out over things. It's very funny to watch, and him just doing all that work for her, answering all her phone calls, I thought was really funny. Who I really did not like in this episode was Kat. I haven't had too much of a problem with her. I haven't really been complaining about Kat that much. But this episode, I really felt like because what happened in episode 5, I really didn't like Kat in this episode because we were back to this bitchy, snobby Kat. We really were back to her here. So Kat won the Siegel Prize for winning media, and the ceremony is in Metropolis tomorrow, but Kat doesn't think she can go because her mother won't watch Kat's son, and Kara offers to watch Carter for her so that she can go. Now, Carter, I actually really like. We'll get into Carter in a second. I was worried that Carter was going to be really annoying, but Kat tells Kara that Carter is special, he's gifted but shy, and he needs special attention, and she wants to help him out. So at a restaurant, Lucy is talking to James, who, like I said, I do like Lucy. I think Jenna Dewan Tatum is a great actress. I really do like her. But again, because of what we knew was going to happen here, I didn't really feel like it was necessary. But again, this episode hadn't aired yet. So at a restaurant, Lucy's talking to James about work. He wants to know what she's really doing in town. Lucy tells him that she missed him and doesn't like how the relationship ended. And James blows her off. He doesn't really want to talk. And when Kara comes to see if he's okay, he says she left him for her career. And before they can go too much more in depth, a bomb goes off. And Kara has to go save a skyscraper. She does, but while she's using her breath to blow, studies her, and that was pretty crazy that we saw that. So of course we knew this episode had to do with bombs because the fact that it was delayed because of Paris, we knew it had to do with bombs. I thought it was really good because of that, definitely. I will say all the bomb stuff was really intense. So Henshaw's about to hand off the investigation to the FBI, but Alex has figured out that the drone is powered by proprietary tech from Maxwell Lord's company, who Maxwell Lord is very slowly, I think, becoming the big villain of this season. It seemed like Astra was going to be, but it really seems like we're looking more towards Maxwell Lord. He is very against Supergirl, and again, we've seen this episode how much he hates Supergirl. The same technology was used in the bomb, and Kara and Alex talk about Kara's relation with James, telling her to not talk to him about his girlfriend troubles. She just doesn't really feel like she should get involved, and she says that since James knows Kara's secret, she wouldn't have to hide around him. So I thought that was smart that Alex said that. I really do like Alex's advice with Carr, the way she's telling him to handle James. I think it's really great. And Carr then gets a call from Kat, who asks how Carter is. She flies the building at top speed to his school. She's realizing that she forgot Carter completely. She introduces herself to him, and he is incredibly shy. He's not talking at all. She's trying to strike up a conversation, but he just doesn't really seem like he wants to talk. And I like this arc with Carter, this could have easily been a very annoying kid, but they did a good job at not making him annoying. I thought he was going to be very annoying, but he really wasn't, and I like that. I like that he wasn't annoying here. I thought they did a good job with his character. So at Lord Technology, Max tells Henshaw and Alex that the lab attack was his as well, part of a shell company. They ask him to narrow down the potential suspect pool, and when Max is uncooperative, saying he doesn't trust the government, Henshaw then leaves Alex behind, and at the office, Carter's nonplussed with anything until Supergirl comes on the news, and he's clearly infatuated with her. He, really likes her, he has a crush on her, and this really entertains Carter because obviously he has a crush on her. And I like seeing Carter light up about this. Wynn says he knows her personality, which Kara shuts down. I thought it was funny when Wynn says he knows her, and then Kara's like, oh, no, 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 you don't. And Wynn's like, oh, well, I wish I knew her. I mean, everything with Wynn, like I said, was great. Wynn really is probably becoming my favorite character on the show. He really is great, and he really reminds us of, I think, ourselves. If we were ever to meet Supergirl in real life, or we were to meet a superhero, that's how we'd react, and I think it's very funny the way we saw Wynn react in this episode, definitely. So in Kat's office, James is having trouble running the building. He doesn't understand how Kat keeps it all together. And while she's there, Lucy calls. He starts the event, but Kara cuts him off. He doesn't want to get into it. And at Lord Technology, Max is impressed with Alex, saying that she's wasting her talents with the government, and he really doesn't want her to work there. So I'm kind of feeling Maxwell's going to try to steer Alex away from the DEO, and both of them think that they can help the world in their respective roles, and Max is very unimpressed with Supergirl. He doesn't really think that she's doing much. He doesn't really think that she's that fierce, and he gets a call, and there's a bomb in one of his labs, and Max insists on trying to defuse the bomb, but when he does, the time merely speeds up. Alex calls Kara. Supergirl comes rushing in to fly the very powerful bomb far into the sky and throw it away, but it throws her into the ocean and knocks her out. So when she wakes up at the DEO after briefly seeing Henshaw's red glowing eyes but not really taking it seriously because she was semi-conscious, she didn't really know if it was real or not. I did think that was interesting when we saw that because, she knows something's going on there, but she's really not thinking much of it. She realizes that she's been gone for a really long time, leaving Carter alone with Wynn, and she goes to Noonan's where she meets up with Lucy. And Henshaw says they found a shot of the bomber from security footage at Lord's lab. His name is Ethan Knox, and he's a recently fired member of Max's staff, and Supergirl wants to help, but Alex tells her that she's spreading herself too thin and needs to focus more. So at the office, Carter and Wynn are playing video games on Kat's monitor array, and Carter leaves to get them lunch. I love the scene where they're just playing around. It was very fun to watch. I definitely enjoyed that. And Lucy, I really like the scene with Lucy here. We find it with Lucy I really like, because Lucy's really bummed, and, I like how Kara says, I don't think you usually would be like that, and she asks if James is seeing anyone, particularly Supergirl, and Kara says that no, there's no connection that they have there. Lucy says the reason that she prioritized work over James is that he prioritized Superman over her. He was with Superman more, and their relationship really didn't work out, and I like finding this out, that James was just so caught up with Superman that he didn't really have time for Lucy. And I can understand that. I mean, how can you have time for a relationship when you're saving the world? I can totally understand that. So Alex asks Max to cancel the launch of his high-speed train today because Knox will target it, and Max doesn't trust the government because his parents, who were government scientists, died at work due to poor safety conditions. I like this reveal here. And Alex is saying that she's sorry, but he says that's the first apology the government has ever given him. He's clearly been against them ever since because his parents died, and I thought that was interesting when we found this out here. She begs him not to reject their help, but he is very insistent, and at Kat's office, Kara apologized for cutting him off about Lucy earlier. She tells him what Lucy told him at Noonan's, and she says that if she ever really had romantic love, she would fight for it, and James says that he doesn't want to open himself up to that kind of hurt with Lucy again yet. But Kara says that if he's not really ready to move on, it won't be fair to whoever is next. And she leaves to check on press credentials for the train launch. And after bringing Carter his lunch, he heads to the DEO in costume, offering to keep an eye on the train. And later, Lucy comes to say goodbye to James. The two argue, ultimately agreeing that they want what's best for one another. They kiss, and Lucy leaves. So I thought that was a sweet scene. We know, of course, they're going to get together because we saw in episode 5, which I'll get into. We get into that a little bit later. But basically, as Supergirl follows the train, James sits in his office thinking about the Lucy situation. Wynn brings a pizza in and finds that Carter is missing, and when the news suggests that Supergirl could be on hand for the train launch, he realizes that's probably where Carter went, is to see Supergirl, because obviously Carter, the only thing that really, makes Carter light up is Supergirl. So at the train station, Carter is bumped along with the crowd towards the train, and at the airport, the police find a bomb. Supergirl is heading towards it as James calls Lucy in a panic. Max helps Carter onto the train to find his parents. Knox is on board with a bomb strapped to his chest, and Wynn, who isn't being allowed on the train, sees him before the train leaves the station. He calls calls Kara since she's the only one who can catch up with the train, and I like how Wynn helped her out here. Again, I think it's really good the way they did that. Kara tells the DEO that she trusts them to take care of the airport, chases after the train, which she knows has Carter on board, and when Supergirl comes in, Carter is impressed. Max denies it's even possible that Nox is on board, and Supergirl, as Max and Carter walk the passengers to the back of the train, head to the front, where she uses her vision powers to see Nox, and at the airport, we see the DEO shows up at the same time James does. When they tell him that Supergirl isn't coming, he finds Lucy. When she asks why he ran toward the bomb, he says to save her. The two hug, and this is essentially when they've now gotten together, which I think was sweet. It just felt a bit forced, I will say that, just knowing that they're gonna get together. It worked well in episode 5, though. I like them in episode 5. So at the airport, Alex says there's no way for her to see inside the bomb to disarm it. Henshaw demands she leaves him alone, telling her it's an order. And on board the train, Supergirl chases Nox to the very front car where he reveals the explosive, says that it's rigged to go off if he removes from the train. He says there's no way out for him. Kara tells him to think about his daughter. And at the airport, Henshaw's eyes glow and he peels open the bomb with his bare hands. Reaching inside, he feels around. And again, really no one is suspecting of this because Kara thought that it was just a dream. She didn't really think like she really saw Henshaw's eyes glow red. So outside, Henshaw brings the now disarmed bomb out to a cheering crowd, telling Alex it was just a dud to draw them away from the train. And on the train, Supergirl pleads with Ethan not to hurt anyone. She says she knows his daughter is sick and Ethan needs him. He says that's what he is doing to her. Her only hope in that no one was supposed to know it was him. When she pleads with him not to kill all the people on the train, he says he won't because she will save them. He presses down a plunger, telling Supergirl she has 30 seconds to do so. She heat visions the coupoling that holds the other train cars onto the engine, watches Nox and the other forward cars speed away. She stops to slow the rest of the train enough to keep it from the blast. Out over the water, Nox and the engine both explode, taking out a length of railroad bridge, and at the DO forensics lab, Supergirl pops open the bomb canister while Alex is working on it. She sees a remote failsafe, which she says doesn't make sense. Supergirl also doesn't understand how the bombs would help a sick girl, and it's then that she realizes that Carter was on the train, and basically a Catco. Carter's really excited about meeting Supergirl, that she's so much prettier in person, and Cat is really surprised because, you know, he doesn't really talk much, and Cat wants to know what else he noticed. And when Carter comes in, Cat's obviously really upset because she really didn't do much with Carter, and as far as Cat knows, you know, she kind of just abandoned him. So Carter asks she can watch him again since they had a great time together, but Cat suggests that it's not likely, and I kind of feel like Cat's gonna have a change of heart. After episode 5, I feel like she's gonna have a change of heart, and maybe she'll warm up to her a little bit more. But Kara apologizes to Kat when Carter leaves, and Kat is clearly upset, but she just lectures Kara about how too many people burn out trying to have it all before they're ready, and that you need to build to the kind of success that she's had, and of course, Kara has. Kara is Supergirl, but she's never going to tell Kat that. This is another instance where I feel like Kara was compelled to tell Kat, but she's not going to. So as Kara leaves the office, she sees James and Lucy making out on the news. Kara sees Lord on the news. He's saying that he has fail safes for everything, which gives Kara an idea. She asks Wynn to hack into hospital records, and then we get the best scene in this episode. This scene I love between Max and Kara. This was great. At Max's apartment, Kara stands outside on the balcony telling Max that she knows Nox's daughter's care is being paid for by Lord. She thinks he forced Nox to plant the bombs, and she knows that it was a ruse, and he tells her that she can't prove anything, that whoever was responsible might be curious about Supergirl herself, and that she was being tested, and he says that the most interesting thing is that she chose to save a small number of people at the train instead of far more at the airport, and if he can find out who was on the train was important to her to figure out who she is. And she tells him that she's watching him and that this isn't over. Speeds off. He says the fun is just beginning, and it really shows that he's gonna go after Supergirl, and that's how the episode ends. So overall, guys, I really did enjoy this episode. I thought this was a really great one. Like I said, I think it was the weakest one we've seen so far. Definitely, probably the second worst. Episode 3 still being the worst. Probably the second worst, I have to say. I still really did enjoy this episode. I thought this was a really great episode overall. I definitely enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. I know that I really like the way they're setting up Maxwell as this villain. It's very interesting the way they're doing that. Him and Alex. Is Alex going to end up going to Maxwell? I feel like he's going to try to convince her. We'll have to see what happens with that. That definitely is going to be interesting to see what happens with that. But let me know what you guys thought of this episode. I definitely really enjoyed it. I thought there was some really great stuff in this one. Like I said, still the weakest one. I don't have much to say because, of course, it was a delayed episode, so I don't really have too much to say about it. I hope we see Carter again. I like seeing that. I feel like Kat's going to try to warm up to Kara more now she knows what's going on with her. But let me know what you guys saw this episode. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for a movie review, and I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.